What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And today, I just want to do a quick little review on a film that I checked out on Amazon Prime. Now, you have to rent it through Amazon Prime, and it's from 2021. It is called The Deep House. Now, I read the synopsis, I've read the ideas for this film, and it sounded pretty interesting. It, I've heard some people kind of like refer to it almost like a found footage. It's not really a found footage film, though. It's more of a haunted house film, but it's interesting in the fact that it takes place underwater. Now, basically, what you have is you have this husband and wife. They're like YouTubers or bloggers, and they're looking. They want to film abandoned places, and places they want to go are getting a little scarce. But they come across in this on this off of this French countryside. They come across this house that has supposedly this area, in some areas throughout, especially here in the U.S., there's some areas that, whole communities, whole like houses and everything just, they get flooded, and it's done basically for construction, like a man-made lake. And basically that's what this is. Something happens. This area has been flooded, making this new lake within on this French countryside. And they decide the husband, he's really all into it. The wife, she's a little reluctant. She basically, she's telling him, like, listen, this is not really working out the way we wanted it to. This kind of let's just relax. Let's not worry about filming. Let's just have a good time and relax. Because when they go to this area, which is supposed to be secluded and with not anybody there, there's a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of tourists there. And, they meet this gentleman. The husband meets this gentleman who says, listen, I can take you, off this one area in the lake. It's a little bit further down. Nobody goes there. And there is a whole house under the water, still intact. Everything is still in there. It has not been touched. So the husband, he's all into this. He convinces his wife, you know what? Let's just do this real quick. We'll go in, we'll check it out. We'll get some shots, get some video, and we'll be out. And then we can enjoy it the rest of the trip. But things are not all what they seem when they get down there. This house, there's something ominous, something very eerie about this house. Nothing, it's not, once they get inside, nothing has been touched. Nothing is starting to deteriorate. Everything is still like pretty much where it was in place when it was flooded. So things definitely, there's something not right. Now the idea, like I said, the idea sounds great. I mean, underwater haunted house film? Because that's what this is. It's an underwater haunted house film. And it sounds like a really good idea, right? I mean, it does. Something that hasn't been done before. But this is where the problem occurs. The husband, very unlikable. He's not a likable guy whatsoever. He has his moments, but for the most part, he's definitely not likable. And the wife, she does a decent job acting. You definitely, you kind of, because, obviously they have, air tanks. They have to make sure they have enough, oxygen to stay under there, to breathe, to do this exploration throughout this house. And, there are times where she starts panicking and, her air level starts going down. But, she does a pretty decent job there. But overall, I didn't really think the acting was all that, great. For something like this kind of film, I would have liked to have seen two likable characters at least. I mean, the wife, she's kind of likable for the most part, but the husband, he's just not. He's not, his wife, obviously, she is panicking. She is not, she definitely feels like something is not right here. And he's kind of like not having anything to do with it, But that's not really, even the acting, that's not really my biggest problem with this film. Like I said, the idea and the premise is pretty good. But once you get down into, this murky kind of water with them exploring this house and things start happening, these supernatural things start happening. The problem is you have a camera that starts shaking. And it's not like, when you're found footage, it can still kind of stay steady for the most part, sometimes. But this film, and not being like a found footage, you can't see what's going on. Because I don't know if it's just because it's underwater and you have, the air's coming up from the oxygen tanks and then breathing. But there's one scene in particular I was like, it's something that happens with the wife later on in the film. It's not a long film either. It's only like an hour and 25 minutes. But there's something that happens with her later on in the film. And I was like, I'm watching the screen, and I had like start squinting almost, like, I mean, what is going on? I could not tell, what is happening in this scene. I had an idea, but for the most part, it's not clear. And it took me out of the whole idea of what's going on with this film. And then this is where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to overlook that. I'll overlook it and, see where it goes from there. But then when we start getting into the third act, that we're getting down to that finale, the final like 10, 15 minutes of this film, this is where it fell apart. There are things, I don't want to, this thing has like a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. So people do, critics do seem to like this film. And, I've actually heard some other reviewers who actually enjoyed this film. And I said, it's all a matter of opinion. To me, I think it fell apart in the third act. It didn't hit the spot in the last. It would have been a decent film had it just been able to stick that landing in the last 10 to 15 minutes. Basically, what's going on, and again, it's not really much of a spoiler because you're going to kind of get an idea pretty early in the film that, because, like I said, there's supernatural things that are going on, and there are some satanic things that are happening, that cause this, with this house. So, again, that's not really much of a spoiler because there are things that happen later on. Why did this happen? What was it? Even though it was satanic, what were they doing with this coal? And it's kind of like, it's a little disturbing with some of the things that they were doing within this house. But again, that third act just kills it for me. It doesn't stick the landing, and it just falls apart. And unfortunately, I don't want to spoil the ending. Because again, I think people should check out just for the idea of, this is something that haven't really seen as far as an underwater haunted house. Them going up the stairs and explore. I mean, right when they get down to the house, there's a gate. Basically, now had this, not been flooded, that gate would have kept people from going onto the, into the house. But that gate, now they were able to just swim right over it. So, an interesting idea. But it's all about how it ends. And it didn't stick the landing for me, unfortunately. So, The Deep House, it was one that I was looking forward to checking out because I had heard a lot of good things about it. But for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this one a 4. Just for the premise alone, for the idea. Because the idea is there. But not being able to stick it, at the very end, that definitely drops a score from me. So, a 4 out of 10 for The Deep House. But, if you can find it cheap to rent, like I did, it's definitely not a bad thing to go ahead and just check out. Just for, just as an idea that you've never seen before. And that's really what it is. So, like, subscribe, and comment if you get the chance, and I will catch you in another episode. Take care.